Welcome to the KBA Vendor Viewpoint podcast, where we bring together Kentucky bankers and the industry's top vendor solutions to discuss important topics that affect your bank. Here's your host, KBA Director of Membership, Products, and Services, Selena Parrish.
Thank you. And joining us today with KBA-endorsed K4 Architecture and Design is President Jeff Klump and Nicole Daragadas, Chief Marketing Officer. Thank you both for being with us today. Nicole, let's kick it off with you. What inspired the idea for designing and marketing branches that bridge generations?
Hi, Selena. Thank you for having us today. And the idea, or what inspired the idea for this topic, is as a family of companies, we saw a growing divide between the generations that community banks intend to serve and the environments those banks operate in. So many were designed for one audience, often older, while they were trying to attract younger customers. They were aware of it. It's basically the main reason they sought our services. But we also noticed that many clients had great intentions of remodeling or building a new facility to address the task at hand, but they weren't updating their marketing assets in tandem. So, in other words, we were noticing brand inconsistency amongst their physical and digital marketing assets, from their facilities to their print collateral, all the way down to their websites and their social media presence. So, I'd say the inspiration for this presentation topic came from watching our clients struggle to stay relevant across multiple generations while maintaining their legacy, while maintaining their community connections, their roots. And we knew we could demonstrate how the K4 family of companies, through thoughtful facility design and brand consistent marketing, could work together to bridge that gap.
Yeah, that's definitely tying it all together. And why is it so critical for financial institutions to consider generational design and marketing today?
I'll take that one, Selena. It's
Thank you, Jeff.
interesting. It's interesting because more and more it seems like when we talk to community banks and we'll ask them, hey, what's the average age of your customer? And they kind of get this blank stare, and then they say, oh, I'll check, or I know, and it's 53, 56, or 58, or even higher. So it's meaning that without generational outreach, institutions risk themselves out of relevance. Sustainability for community banks depends on appealing to all generations, to the boomers and the Gen Z alike, across all the different platforms, both their physical and their digital assets. I think it's important to note for community banks to realize that the growth depends on connection. Banks can't just survive servicing their existing customers. They must also be very attentive to attracting that younger generation who value the experience as a whole, as well as integrating that technology that the younger generation likes. Generational design and marketing ensures the brand remains timeless, but not dated.
And how can one branch effectively serve both a boomer seeking personal connection and a Gen Z customer looking for digital convenience?
Selena, a single branch can absolutely meet the needs of all generations if it's designed intentionally. You can blend warm, inviting meeting spaces that appeal to the boomers' desire, and make that personal connection, but also combine it with the digital forward self-service zones that deliver the speed and the convenience that the Gen Z expect. The goal is a space that feels both personal and progressive, where every customer can choose how they want to interact. That is so important to community banks. I like to say it's about creating zones of experience and engagement. You can have a tech bar and ITMs near the entry for quick transactions. But you could also have more private offices or lounge type seating within the branch for that relationship banking. So one branch, but yet many paths. Thinking about the KBA, Fort Bank has done a really good job with their loan production offices, both in Covington and downtown Lexington. And I consider those to be two very good examples of multi generational balance in action. Covington, in Covington, K4 transformed a historic Greyhound bus station into a 1,200 square foot modern banking hub. Yet we preserved some of the historic integrity of the building, like the original tin roofs, the tile floors, but we connected to the city's Madison district. That's what they call that area. But we connected to that Madison district heritage. But yet we introduced technology through ITMs and online account openings for today's digital first users. In Lexington, near Rep Arena or right across from Rep Arena, there we took the space a step further. The office feels more like a neighborhood cafe with a traditional bank. They offer coffee, public Wi-Fi, casual seating, along with private offices for the relationship banking. Boomers seem to appreciate the comfort. Boomers seem to appreciate the comfort of the space and the personal attention, while the millennials and the Gen Z enjoy the technology, flexibility, and the approachable atmosphere. Altogether, these locations, Selena, show how Port Bank is redefining what a branch can be, blending the heritage and the hospitality with digital innovation, and also serve multiple generations in demographic markets in Kentucky.
They are definitely beautiful locations. And Nicole, what does each generation value most?
Well, each generation values something different, and knowing that shapes both facility design and marketing. I think the boomers value trust and personal service. As a Gen Xer, I want efficiency and transparency. I'd say the millennials crave authenticity and convenience, and Gen Z values more purpose and individuality. So the takeaway is good marketers, they don't just segment by age, they connect by life stage and mindset. So whether you're helping boomers preserve wealth or guiding Gen X through being the sandwich generation or empowering younger generations through digital first tools, it's about meeting people where they're at with the right tone, the right message, and the right medium. Because the same product, like a checking account or a home loan, it can appeal to every generation, but the difference is in how you communicate it. So I'd say you don't need four different brand voices, just one strong voice that adapts its accent to each generation and addresses what matters most.
And so, for our audience, how should marketing strategies differ when appealing to those different generations that we're working with?
That's a good question. And I'd say the key is tailoring your products and services, your message tone, and your media channels to fit where they are in life. So for boomers, they're focusing on preserving wealth and independence as they enjoy or approach retirement. They'll respond well to tones of security, trust, and family legacy. And it's no surprise they engage well with traditional media like TV, radio, newspapers, but it's complemented by digital touch points. For boomers, I don't want to discount digital media like e-newsletters and Facebook. And Gen Z, sandwich generation, they want flexibility and convenience, life simplifying solutions like refinancing, retirement planning, digital banking. They have grown up and are probably the only generation with an analog childhood and digital adulthood. So they
Mhm.
appreciate a balanced mix of traditional and digital channels, meeting them through both clicks and print. And as we move to millennials, they expect digital first, socially responsible banking that supports their milestones, their unique values. The tone for millennials should be empowering and conversational, not corporate. And it's no surprise you'll reach them through social media, influencer content, podcasts, personalized app experience. Traditional media falls off with this generation. And in fact, I teach a college course on media, and I stopped assigning this particular assignment because I would ask students to obtain a print newspaper to analyze it, and they didn't even know where to get one.
Oh my gosh,
They
how
couldn't
interesting.
begin to find one. And, us people that grew up, we'd say, go to, they're outside, they're in those boxes,
Right.
that are
It's
no
right
longer
there.
there. So yeah, they would not know where to get one. And as we move to Gen Z, they're seeking financial flexibility and purpose-driven brands. So for them, think sleek apps, mental health tools, gamified savings, ethical investing, because they respond to messaging that's bold, fast, relatable, and real, like a friend offering financial advice. And I'd say TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, that's where they live. And authenticity always wins over polish. So, in short, generational marketing isn't about simply dividing the audience by age. It's about understanding their mindset, their motivations, and their life stage. Then community banks can align their product, tone, and channels to meet each generation where they are. And I like to think about it simply like this: boomer parents wanting to communicate with their millennial children. Jess, are you going to call or are you going to text? If you want a
Definitely.
response.
Yeah, definitely text.
Yes. So
Yeah.
you'd prefer to call, I'm sure, but if you want them to engage, let alone respond, you're meeting them where they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. And Jeff, are there facility design elements that appeal across all the generations that we're talking about here?
Yes, absolutely, Selena. There are definite design elements that appeal across all the generations. Excuse me. For example, K4 worked with Farmers and Merchants Bank on a project in Springboro, Ohio, where we combined both the Farmers and Merchants branch with a Bigby's coffee shop. They had a common lobby, shared lobby, within the same facility. And we at K4 feel that's a great example of how to appeal to all the different generations. It's a smart and intentional co-tenant model that blends comfort and convenience as well as community all in one space. It's a great revenue generator for farmers and merchants. They collect rent from Bigby's, and Bigby's also shares in the facility's operating cost. So it's a great revenue generator for farmers and merchants. But it's also a design that fits the modern lifestyle for everybody. It's got shared flexible spaces. It encourages cross selling, but also community interaction while offering something for all the generations. The president, Sean Myers, quoted for us in a presentation that Nicole and I have been doing, and he shared his thoughts on some of the customer experience. And he stated that the Gen Z staff the coffee shop and they bring energy and the foot traffic of their peers. So they attract that younger Gen Z population. Then there's the millennials and the Gen X who use the space for meeting and social time, or the drive-through for efficiency for those hectic times when they have kid drop off for soccer or sports situations. And then the boomers, he said the boomers, they actually love the in-lobby experience and the ambiance of the home-like setting. It has a fireplace. So in the winter, this time of year, they love coming into that space, but they also like that opportunity for the social interaction with their peers. And they tend to stay longer than any of the other generations. So, and the result for them was a great for their ROI. It was a branch that became profitable within 3 years, outpacing the industry standard of 4 to 5 years, and it proves that design for every generation not only builds engagement, but it also drives a significant ROI.
How can smaller concept branches or micro branches help community banks test different markets and the demographics as an alternative to larger full scale rollouts?
That's a good question, Selena, because we're seeing and hearing a lot more of that.
Are you?
And yeah, and we are actually doing it. Branches give community banks a low risk, and typically the cost to do something like this, they go in and lease space, tenant space, for 15 to 20% of the cost of buying land and building a new facility. They have to build it out, and yes, they have to pay rent, but it's a low risk way to expand into an underserved market and even in the new markets. Facilities that we've been seeing have been between 1,000 and 1,500 square feet. So they're agile, they're efficient, and they're usually only staffed with two or three universal bankers.
Okay.
Transactions within those facilities can be handled by a pod with a recycler, or transactions could be handled also through ITMs. And that's, we've got a bank in Michigan that we work with, and they're rolling out these 1,200 to 1,500 square foot facilities, and they use the ITMs for the transactions. So it's working real well for them. It's a real world lab for testing a new layout, technology, and service model before scaling up to that full service brick and mortar branch. And also, so these compact branches, they're very cost effective, but they're also community specific.
Mm-hmm.
One may focus on ag lending, another may focus more on mortgages. So the
Okay.
flexibility helps banks test and adapt each market's needs while maintaining consistent and welcoming brand presence.
And Nicole, how can financial institutions apply the marketing strategies of big name brands like Coca-Cola or Stanley to connect meaningfully with multiple generations?
Yeah, so I'd say that brands like Coca-Cola and Stanley had some memorable and brilliant marketing campaigns that remind us that connection doesn't always come from reinventing yourself or your product. It comes from reframing your story. So take Stanley. It's a thermos. It's a 110-year-old thermos brand, and no one would have predicted it would become the it product of 2024
Uh-uh.
without really changing the product that much. They mainly just changed the positioning. They got some new leadership, and that was CEO Terrence Riley. He was the same CEO that made Crocs cool again. And under him, they shifted their focus from traditional ads, traditional marketing to community-driven marketing. And that means empowering women and Gen Z to market to each other through influencer partnerships and social storytelling. And the result was that revenue jumped 74 million to 750 million in just 3 years.
Fascinating. Yes.
Yeah,
Fascinating.
I think they did change the cup to fit into the car cup holder space. I don't know if that's what that's called, but that's all they did differently.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
Coca-Cola, they did something similar. I don't know if you remember their Share a Coke campaign from 2011. I think they just revived it where they replaced the logo with people's actual names. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, that
That's
was
all they did.
clever.
It was clever. They just simply swapped the logos for people's names, but by doing so, they turned personalization into participation.
Okay.
And it added 25 million new Facebook followers, 1.1 billion in revenue, and 500,000 hashtag share a Coke photos in its first year. So
Uh,
I'd say the key takeaway for community banks is you don't really have to overhaul your products. You just need to make your customers and communities the storytellers, empowering people to see themselves in their brand. Because if you want to attract the younger generations, don't market at them. They see right through that. Empower them to market to each other.
Great information. And Jeff and Nicole, while I have you, what are some of the biggest mistakes that community banks make when trying to attract those younger customers?
You want to take it first, Jeff, or you want me to
Oh,
go?
go ahead, Nicole.
Okay. Okay. I guess from the marketing side, a big mistake I see is trying too hard to be trendy on TikTok or Instagram without a full understanding of how those platforms actually work. And I'd say people feel about their money the same way they feel about their health. Few find it funny or humorous. So personally, I'm not expecting to see my family practice doctor nail the Whitney Houston challenge, but I am expecting them to see. I am expecting them to present appropriate, relevant, and timely info to me in bite-sized pieces. And one particular thing I see so often is clients' Instagram grids often lack a strategy. They don't have the right content. They have graphics not sized for Instagram, but maybe from Facebook, and they're duplicating it. They often have, a holiday branch closure post that has passed. It's 3 times on the grid. So I like to explain to them, I like to say, think of your Instagram grid as your branch's front window. So if a potential customer walked by of any generation and they saw faded posters, crooked signs, they saw outdated promotions or 3 versions of the same flyer taped up, they probably keep walking. And that's what millennials and Gen Z see when your grid looks like that. They're seeing graphics not sized correctly, they're seeing clutter, and they're seeing you say, "We want your business," but you're visually communicating, "We don't speak your language." So, I like to say that an Instagram grid isn't just a decoration you need to have to keep up with the Joneses. It's translation, and it really should appear as a static second website. You can have your day-to-day content on Instagram, but it goes in stories, not on the grid. The grid should be carefully curated, brand consistent digital real estate, same as your physical real estate.
And Selena, Selena, on the design side or
Yeah.
architecturally, one mistake that a lot of community banks seem to make is they ignore the in-branch experience.
Okay.
And it's we had a bank that we worked in Central Indiana, and they the kids came in and to a board meeting. And they said, if this weren't Grandpa's bank, would you bank with us? And they said no, because it looks like Grandpa's bank. Young people, they do visit branches. Statistics have shown that the Gen Z population are visiting branches actually more than boomers. They definitely do their research online, and but they go to the branch because they want to know who they're working with, and when it comes, they want to know who they're working with, they're dealing with when it comes to a major investment like an auto loan or a mortgage. The younger generation, they want branches to feel inviting and not institutional. Banks want to think about convenience and efficiency with things like multi-purpose spaces that are open and engaging. They want a lot of natural light. They want comfortable seating, interactive screens. They want to create a seamless integration of personal touch and technology. And also think about how to get people or customers into your branches. It's important that they create spaces that promote that social engagement, like the coffee shop idea that farmers and merchants, meeting spaces with coffee bars, as well as the integration of pods that most people feel are more engaging and interactive than the traditional teller lines.
And for our community banks here in Kentucky, how can they stay relevant to all the generations while maintaining their local roots? That's
Nicole, I'm sorry, Nicole, I'll take that first if you don't mind.
Okay.
Again, from a design perspective, Selena, community banks can make strong connections by blending their local storytelling, like introducing what we call community walls and history walls and combining them with the modern conveniences of like touch screens and digital marketing. Um, you want to place community banks want to place emphasis on both community connection, but also involvement. They want to create local partnerships. They want to run programs like Shop Local, Bank Local. They want to create messages that connect generations while also honoring their heritage. Morgantown Bank and Trust, their new branch in Bowling Green, Kentucky, is a great example. If you get down there, Selena, you should try to take a look at that. They stay relevant by being recognizable and relatable. The key is designing that branch and campaigns that celebrate the local story while speaking the visual and digital language of a younger generation.
And from a marketing standpoint, I have a great example of a business that is staying relevant to all generations while maintaining their local roots, and that is called Erie Apparel. And it's from my hometown of Erie, Pennsylvania. It's a small business, and basically what they do is they make t-shirts with old high school logos, defunct radio stations, old minor league sports teams. They've got a hyper local strategy of nostalgia marketing paired
Mhm.
with community pride. And they have a best-selling t-shirt among the 15 I own because they are actually good quality t-shirts too. It says it's okay to love Erie. So that single phrase unites boomers who grew up there, Gen Xers who left but still visit often, and younger generations still there who want to wear their hometown pride. Um, like I said, the designs they feature old school logos, local landmarks, old restaurants that have come and gone. It's seldom anything that's current, but they're touch points that instantly spark connection. So the lesson for community banks is the same. You don't have to be Nike or Chase. You just need to know your people, reflect their pride, tell their stories, and create experiences that feel personal and authentic. Because when your brand feels like it belongs to the community, every generation sees themselves in it.
Excellent information. And Jeff, while we wrap up today's podcast, how does K4's total solutions approach for architecture, interior design, graphic design, construction, marketing, and branding help bank clients future-proof their branches?
Their total solution, or our total solutions approach, Selena, of combining all the disciplines ensures brand consistency across all the platforms, from your facilities, from the exterior to the interiors, to the marketing in the branches, the digital marketing in the branches, but also your social media and your website. But it ties together all your physical and digital assets, which gives all generations confidence that what they see online and in social media also matches what they experience in person within the branches. Brand consistency creates alignment for financial institutions that builds trust across every generation, from the boomers to the zoomers.
Thank you so much, Jeff and Nicole. This has been excellent information for our KBA members, and thank you so much for all the support you give us here at KBA. Additional information regarding K4 architecture and design can be found on KBA's website at kybanks.com. That's all for this episode of KBA Vendor Viewpoint. Until next time, this podcast is a wrap. Have a great day, everyone.
Same to you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you, Selena.
Thank you, Nicole. Great information. Thank you both.
All right. Thank you.